Let's get technical about recording. Microphones are transducers, a device which converts energy from one form to another, sound waves into electrical signal in this case. Other examples are speakers, which turn an electrical signal into a vibrating sound, and certain types of electric thermometers. The diaphragm. Basically, a tiny flap of metal called the diaphragm vibrates upon receiving sound and turns into an electrical signal. This is what allows the sounds you make to get turned into ones and zeros, bits and bytes, and represented as a visual wave on screen that you can now cut up and mix. Different mics use an electromagnetic coil or an internal battery to convert the energy, but the process is generally the same. Ribbon mics are different than condenser mics, but they are similar in that an aluminum flap vibrates from sound near a magnet and generates a signal. Ribbon mics tend to have what's considered a darker sound, smooth roll-off on the high frequencies. Condensers tend to brightly boost the high end. This is a subtle difference that used to be more important when recording to tape, but in the digital era this difference has faded some. Recordings on tape punched the bass and softened the high end because of the way they physically rolled through the machine. The additional high-end information on recordings was useful because it would get stamped out through tapes. Now with more neutral recording and output methods, ribbon mics can be excellent for soft jazz instruments like sax. No transducer converts energy with 100% energy conversion, and a small amount of the energy is lost in the form of heat. Always remember to give your equipment some time to cool down if you've been recording for a long time, as the buzz can be heard on a microphone. Let's look a bit more at what happens when your audio becomes digital. An amp or amplifier boosts the electric signal to be converted to a louder volume on different speakers. A waveform represents a variation or changes in voltage over time. PCM, pulse code modulation, assigns a bit value to a sample rate. The higher the bit's depth, the more values/frequencies the computer can present. 44,100 Hz is a standard rate that covers most of the audible sounds a human can hear. Essentially, the waveform presents the pitch and volume over time as a visual wave. And from the lowest bass note to the highest chirp fits within this range of recording and human hearing. However, some compressors will remove the information that could be subtly perceived by some listeners, a compromise made for efficiency and smaller file size. Now let's put this mic to work. While I work on this, let's hear from some friends about their experience recording.
Night and day, you could hear everything you're doing, any little tiny mistake you want to try to be perfect, and you go back and you do the same song 5-6 times, You hear that? Yeah, that's what he's trying to do.
I've recorded 3 releases for this current project. One of them was done actually in my friend's kitchen, and he had a little setup, a real nice big dining room that was open that had this really great natural reverb sound, and that's our first EP, just self-titled the Mera Canderlaria. That was actually produced and mixed by David Cardena of La Junta. And then our most recent 2 releases were recorded also at somebody's house in a home studio. My bass player, Tony Sousa. It's nice recording in someone's home and with somebody that you really know, because prior to moving to Los Angeles, my recording experience was up in Oakland, done in actual recording studios. It makes a difference when you're somewhere where you feel really comfortable and you have a connection with the person who's engineering you. Recording in someone's home has been just so awesome. It's free, you got incredible friends surrounding you, you can hang out, and it just feels like you're almost having a little house party gathering, we're all just hanging out in the studio and somebody's laying down timbales real quick.
Recording at home is easier than ever, and it allows you to take control of the recording and mixing process.
When you're live, it's just a feeling, you have a good time, you play the music, it just comes out.
Well, when we were playing, we were just jamming out, practically. When we're recording, it's been a lot easier because we've been practicing a lot. It's been a mandatory Monday practice.
When you're performing, you've got the adrenaline of being on stage in front of a crowd. They're feeding you energy, you're giving them energy back. You've got your band up there, so you guys are vibing off of each other, maybe improvising a little bit. So it's just this kind of energy that performing has that you don't have at a rehearsal or in a recording session.
You're able to go back to your tracks and you hear them, you see if you made a mistake, see And like if you want to add something to it.
Yeah, Bobby comes out with all kind of little licks that he could add in through the whole song. That would be cool to add in.
If you add something to it, it's cool, you know, to add a little bit of like color to it.
And then when you're in the studio, it's like quiet, you know, you got to do something else.
You're alone in a studio, and maybe you got your sound engineer there or a couple of other band members there, but everybody's got to be quiet, and you've got to find that same energy.
Get that feeling that we give out when we're playing live.
Within yourself. It's almost like actors, I guess, like theater stage actors versus like movie actors. And a movie actor, like you gotta all of a sudden at the drop of a hat, like, oh my gosh, I'm in an intense scene and I have to cry right now, when a second before I was like joking with the director. It's the same kind of thing for a recording. Like you've got to find whatever feeling and intention you have for that song that maybe comes naturally when you're performing, because you're in that moment. Because if you just sang like flat, like people are gonna listen to it like, oh man, it feels like she doesn't mean it.
Like if we're able to bring that sense of energy that we put on our performances, on our recordings, if you can have that energy, you can feel like, okay, I'm right there listening with them, and you can enjoy in your car as you're driving, or like put it on like on your party and dance to it.
Try to make it sound as live as possible the way we play it. That way we get that same reaction when you're dumping it in your car, you know, you're taking a jog or a walk or whatever it is. You know?
But when I would buy a CD as a kid, and then you finally get to go see that band and it's nothing at all like what it sounded, it was just kind of disappointing.
The least you want the audience to walk away with is they sound just like the record. Because we gotta have our own expectations that we want to exceed them. Because remember as a kid just going to a show with a band that I was really into, and then kind of being disappointed with the live performance. It's not fair to people.
But I believe that my recordings should very closely match what we do on stage.
Once you go and see the performance live, you should have the same experience, if not a bigger experience of like, man, like this guy sounded good, but like when I saw them live, it's like, wow, you know.
Now that we've learned a bit about recording music, let's go to a show. Spaghetti Cumbia is one wild, out-of-this-world band. They put on an insane show blending Western music, rock, cumbia, and border ballads. Everyone in the group is a wizard at their instrument and incredibly talented. The explosive show was full of diverse rhythms, sure to keep everyone dancing through the night.
salsero y los piden. Échale mi mero, mero, pero pistolero. Good night, guys. We'll see you next month.